Welcome to Vitamin B with me, Mohana. This is where we help you take control of your well-being. I'm really pleased to have my guest today, who's Malavika, a certified nutritionist and gut health expert. Malavika has lived pretty much all around the world and brings great perspective and global mindset towards nutrition, food, and many useful ingredients. She's also the co-founder of Hello Tempayy, a brand I'm sure you've heard of and it's very close to something. Take a look at it. Today, we are going to get into the fascinating world of vitamins. So, all of these vitamins are so important for our bodies. But what is keeping us from being vitamin healthy?
Stop comparing our life and our lifestyle with our forefathers and ancestors because we live different lives.
So, how do I detect a vitamin deficiency in my body?
Simple blood test. The most common deficiency happens to be vitamin D. Why? धूप में मत जाना, काली हो जाओगी. That stress is one of the worst triggers for a lot of things.
The beauty of our country is
Yes.
6 seasons.
Yes.
Every season presents what is best for you.
India is the poor sleep capital of the world. Food truly is magic, but not everyone is investing in this. Vitamin D is one of those vitamins that is most essential, but I believe that you should take vitamins based on your deficiencies and the dosage and the quality. Least amount of food sources that is accessible to most people. Eat the rainbow. Every single color of the rainbow. Protein is going to be the hero of your plate. Most people are not even deficient, they are in the insufficient range.
Wow. Okay.
When I say insufficient, what does it cause? Hair issues, immunity, depression, anxiety. Women before their pregnancy and women in general have an iron deficiency. Indian, mostly B12 deficiencies are in the vegans and vegetarians.
Come join us as we explore the space of vitamins. For me, the most fascinating thing was about what vitamin supplements or in its natural form should we be eating at what point in the day, and much more. Come join me, sit back, relax, and I'll see you at Vitamin B with me, Mohana. Hi Vitamin B community. We have always been very bullish about your health and your well-being. And I'm super happy today to be launching the very first merchandise which I know will make a difference to each one of us, which is the Vitamin B Granola. This granola has been in the making for over 2 years now, with our core team having it on a daily basis. So we felt it was important to spread the awareness and ensure each one of you has the opportunity to taste it and improve your health. Get your first pack, order now, and we are available in Namma Bengaluru, where we have a number of customers who have already promised us and validated that this product is truly nutritious. So check out the comments box where you have an opportunity to place your order in the link provided, or reach us on Instagram DM to get your first bag of Vitamin B Granola. I'll see you soon. Stay tuned, be healthy, and be confident. Hi Malavika, it's wonderful to have you on Vitamin B with me, Mohana.
Hi Mohana, finally get to meet you after all the WhatsApp conversations.
All our conversations.
And feels like I've known you all my life.
It's a small world.
Okay.
And our channel is growing so well through just references. So it was wonderful to get to know you. I'm just amazed how I missed having Hello Tempayy.
Oh,
and
it's coming. Now you're stuck with me and you're going to have it. And I can't wait for feedback when that happens.
Wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that. So firstly, thank you so much for taking time coming here.
Pleasure.
We are going to be doing a 2-part episode, right?
Yes.
So the first one is going to be dedicated to the space of vitamins.
Done.
All about that. And the second one, we'll reveal it later.
Done.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. You're the boss. I follow the boss.
How are you feeling today?
I'm doing good. Thank
You're
you.
doing
It's
good?
great to be, I love this is what I love doing.
Yeah.
I love educating people.
Yeah.
I love sifting through the BS.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of BS. So we just have to simplify it for people and not assume that everyone is very heavily nutritionally informed. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
So I hope.
Yeah, it's great to have good voices. And one of the things that our channel is looking for is people with credible voices, right? People who actually know and have a depth of information that they can come and share, right? And it will impact the lives of people.
And that's
I'm
the hope.
really looking forward to our conversation where there's a lot that I really want to learn about as
Absolutely.
well. Yeah. Great.
Absolutely.
So let's start. What are vitamins? Why are they essential in our bodies?
Okay. So I'll give you a simple analogy, right? There's a plant. I think growing up, we've learned in biology that for a plant to thrive, as your plants are beautifully thriving here, it needs sunlight, it needs water, it needs a little bit of loving care and talking, the right soil, lots of things come together. Take away something from it, and you will notice, like if you see it withering away, you'll say, have I added too much water or I had added too little water? Then you're going to touch the soil and say, oh, it's dry, let me fix this. Our bodies are similar, but in much more complicated ways. Vitamins are basically these organic compounds that the body doesn't synthesize on its own. So we have to provide it to the body. How? Food. Yeah. Food first, and then you fill the gaps with vitamins, supplements. I'll use both these words interchangeably, and there's a lot of them, and some are very well researched and backed by science. And then you'll hear a lot of these little noises here and there coming out about do this, do that, try this, try that. And that should be approached with caution.
Wow. So essentially, we exist with vitamins.
Yes.
Right? It's a non-negotiable for the human
Non-negotiable,
body.
vitamins and minerals.
So let's start with something very important,
Sure.
right? Now that we know it's so important for us to have
Yes.
vitamins, much like anything else,
Yes.
why do we tend to get deficient or deficient?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, often, so I consult a lot of clients. I'm on Instagram. So a lot of questions come to me saying, oh, my grandfather, grandmother didn't, or our ancestors, my parents didn't have so many vitamins. Why is it that we need to? We have to stop comparing our life and our lifestyle with our forefathers and ancestors because we live different lives. We now have social media, we have desk jobs, sedentary jobs. Many people have sedentary jobs. Traffic is insane. Getting from point A to point B takes multiple hours.
Yeah.
Walking culture is not as much. Infrastructure may not be as much in India. Stressful lives, lack of sleep. Women have started working more.
Yeah.
So, we're maybe not getting 3 fresh cooked meals in a day back in the day. Quality of our soil, urbanization, pollution. I can list 100 different products we use.
Yeah.
My mother didn't use sunscreen and she laughs at me about it. She's like, I didn't use sunscreen. Look at me. So, we have to stop. So today, the biggest gap is our food and our lifestyle. We have access to quick commerce. We order things in a jiffy. Meals may not be prepared as often. A lot of packaged foods. And people just maybe not prioritizing their health and seeing that there is a gap. So there is a gap, and ideally most people don't need a lot of vitamins as supplements. They can get it from food. But then there are certain categories that need it, and we'll talk about it as we go along. So the gap is basically the food and lifestyle.
So it's lifestyle. And you know what amazes me through all the conversations with doctors and specialists and experts, everything that comes down to is two important things. One is smoking.
Yes.
It seems to be the common factor, or people who fall sick tend to smoke.
Yes.
Or they were smokers.
Yes.
And the other thing is lifestyle.
Yes.
So it's just crazy what's going on.
Yes.
I
would add drinking to that also. So not just the smoking. Incidentally, one in many lung cancer cases are not related to smoking.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Okay.
Then this further begs us to analyze what kind of environment are you living in, and whether the pollution we live in on a daily basis is silently killing us. This is something that has to be looked into, because there's no direct, it's not you smoke, you will die of lung cancer. There's a genetic component, there is a makeup, there is how you took care of yourself, did you exercise, but under no circumstances is smoking or drinking good for you. And finally, they've come out and said, after years of not saying it, that drinking does cause cancer.
Drinking, yeah.
Yes, finally.
Oh,
Please
wow.
remember, for the longest time, we were told that having a glass of wine is good for health. Like wine is this magic alcohol.
Women says that.
There you go. So they have finally said that, again, it depends on how much you drink. And if you drink a certain amount, you do have a higher risk of cancer. If you drink a lot, you are much more this. And then if you don't drink, you're like the rest of the population that can get cancer. So there's degrees, how many glasses.
But it can be a factor.
Yes, as research is now finally, and I'm glad, like you would put C on a cancer, a box of pack of cigarettes will kill you, and it's so graphic, and still someone will pick it up and go for it. It's an addiction. Alcohol has been so embedded into our social structure as that's how we enjoy or have fun, that now people are saying, hey, sorry, but all the research points in the direction that it is cancer causing.
And you're boring if you're healthy, and you're boring if you don't join me for a drink.
Absolutely.
It is a lifestyle.
That narrative has to change, that you can be fun and cool even if you don't drink, get drunk, or have a hangover the next day.
Yeah. So how do I detect a vitamin deficiency in my body?
Simple blood test. The biggest misconception is people think that only when they show symptoms, they may be deficient. That is not the case, because each one is different. You could be a fully functioning person and then go do a blood test and then see that 10, 15 parameters are off.
Okay.
That is most likely linked to your deficiencies that have been brewing in your body for a long time. So my standard protocol, once in 6 months, whether you're feeling great or you're feeling terrible, it doesn't matter. If you're feeling great, get the blood test that shows you whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And if you get bad, not so great results, then you need to fix that. Something that surprised me as I've started consulting a lot of my clients is they have these reports, absolutely don't do anything about it or don't know what to do about it. They don't go back to the doctor and say, hey, doc, okay, there's a lot of red. What should I do? Right? So please do not wait till something bad goes wrong. You feel unwell to go get a blood check done. Preventative is way better than corrective, and then take corrective measures. In some cases, severe cases, it can also impact your heart health and lots of other factors. So you don't want it to get to that level. Simple blood test, cheap and cheerful, full panel blood test with all the comprehensive results. It will give you the best screenshot of your health status.
Very interesting. I do want to talk about blood tests a bit, right? There is a growing trend of taking blood tests, but sometimes, and my personal experience, is that sometimes doctors push it. And I was misdiagnosed to have hypothyroid. I went to a doctor, and with all the reports saying I've had a very stressful period in my life. So my vitals could be all over the place. All I need to do is sleep, I guess. But she said, before you get out of bed, you need to take the thyroid medicine. Once you start the thyroid medicine, that's it for your life. So I had very close friends who said, do not do it. You know, sometimes you have fluctuations and don't go to that doctor.
She's smart.
Go with your gut at the moment. So all I did, Malavika, was sleep well, eat well for about 2 months. And about 6 months later, I went to a local doctor down the road who has a very nice reputation of being an older lady.
Of course.
Doesn't charge you much. Sits for half an hour and understands your life. And she said, your body does not look like a hypothyroid case.
Got it.
Something's off. It could be a lab test error.
Could be. Highly possible.
Go back, test it and get it back to me. And I had absolutely no thyroid issues. So sometimes we just need to also sort of be careful in the process of getting our tests, be very cautious about what is the doctor saying? Really, are these the symptoms? So there's a journey, right, to learn and understand the blood report also, and that's what I just wanted to talk about.
You're probably one of the more educated people, and even you were swayed mildly, right? And you asked a friend or two. Lab results are required, but it's important to go to accredited labs. Sometimes you may need to retest. Sometimes you may need to test in 2 different labs. Find a doctor you love and trust and who has time for you. There's a connection. There are 2 kinds of doctors. There's people who are pill pushers. They see you 2 minutes, here's your medicine, off with you. And then there's ones who are very compassionate, calm. Tell me what's going on. Talk to me. In fact, a long time ago, if I can digress, my husband was having a little bit of, suddenly he had started having these breakouts a long while ago, and he went to the best doctor, dermat in Dubai. And he'd been to multiple, and one of them said, I want to put a steroid injection in that area, it'll help. He was a bit hesitant, and he said, let me go to this other doctor. And she said, are you going through a lot of stress? And he said, probably the most I've had in my life. She said, I hate to say this, but your breakouts are stress related. And he came home, he said, what kind of, we want pills, we want creams, we want medication. That's a quick fix, but she wanted to address the root cause. She asked him to meditate, which is, you tell people doesn't mean they do it.
Correct.
Anyway, she said, come back to me in a month. I will give you the steroid shots.
But let's see.
Let's give this a shot. And I think in a month, the conscious effort he made to calm down and, it made a massive difference. People don't realize that stress is one of the worst triggers for a lot of things, but it is one of the most underrated because people want quick fixes. Going back to your question, if your vitamin D levels are off chronically, if your iron levels are off, that can also impact the way your thyroid results are shown. Number 2, when it comes to labs, how quickly was the sample sent for testing? Was there any contamination? Is the lab doing it in-house? Is the lab outsourcing it? There are a lot of factors, which is why get it done from a accredited lab. And sometimes you may need to do test twice. So some people will say, listen, your iron is down and your vitamin D is down. Let's bring some other numbers up. And then let's retest. And chances are that your thyroid levels may have evened out. And plus looking at your family history. There is a lot of noise in this area. So it's important to find the right doctor, follow up, trust, and sometimes if you're willing to bite the bullet and self-heal, but not things that need intervention from the medical field, but it's like say, hey, I know I've been stressed. I know I've not been eating. I know I've not been doing these things which are the pillars of good health. Let me address this. Let me also start taking my vitamins. And one thing I want to mention, which people miss, there's a reference range for every vitamin and mineral, right? Don't be in the just below the range or just touching. Please be in the optimal range. So to give yourself that window of depletion and going back up. And again, why you need to test? Because you need to see if you've gone down again. Right? So don't do it and forget about it.
And that's what tends to happen.
Most people. So it's been a decade. I've been doing blood tests once a year. It's always around my birthday. So I never forget. It's kind of like a little self-check, self-care reminder. And now as I'm in my 40s, I'm 45, I ensure once in 6 months. Because as we grow older, our body changes hormonal.
Of course.
We enter perimenopause, fluctuating hormones, and vitamins and minerals are impacted. So once in 6 months. Great. It's set in my calendar.
That's great to understand how to really address it, right?
Yes.
So let's say in India in the last 5 years, right? What are the top vitamin deficiencies that have been identified? Which are, Malavika, honestly, like I never thought magnesium was anything, right? Now it's a trend. Before that, it was some vitamin D, then something else. How do you go beyond trends to just understand really what is research saying? What is the problem that India is facing?
Here are the most science-backed, well-researched supplements. Here are the names in no order of preference. Vitamin D, vitamin C, iron, folic acid, creatine. Then you've got B12. Then you've got magnesium. Then you've got omega-3. Now, these are your most well-researched vitamins.
Okay.
Lots of science backing it, and it's out there. Indians, we're going to talk about Indians. The most common deficiency happens to be vitamin D. Why? Am I allowed to speak Hindi?
Yeah, of course.
धूप में मत जाना, काली हो जाओगी. Don't go in the sun, you will get dark. We have this obsession with fairness. So getting natural sun is like you'll get dark. Big problem. Number 2, I just don't need to get the sun. Number 3, I'm out all the time, but why do I need a supplement? Because the Indian skin, it's catch-22. Our skin cancer rates are very low because we have a natural protective agent, our melanin, that protects us from skin cancers because we don't absorb vitamin D as well. So naturally, and there's not many food sources. So vitamin D is one of those vitamins that is most essential, but least amount of food sources that is accessible to most people, right? Fish. I mean, how many people really, salmon, so expensive, omega-3, rich in omega-3. So that's a big issue. Most people are not even deficient. They are in the insufficient range.
Wow. Okay.
When I say insufficient, what does it cause? Hair issues, immunity, depression, anxiety. Finally will lead to depression if you're constantly low, hair loss, and it impacts other enzymatic reactions in your body. So vitamin D is one. Iron, right? Lot of women, young girls, teens who have attained puberty, women before their pregnancy, and women in general have an iron deficiency, which has to be looked into. I said that. B12. So 30% of Indians are vegetarian. Indians, mostly B12 deficiencies are in the vegans and vegetarians. Mostly. So majority of my clients, when they come to me, I can look at their report and I can see the number and say, oh, vegan,
you're a vegetarian.
And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, I can see a B12. Very, very few are like in the optimal range. And the ones who are the ones who are eating non-veg sources, eggs, etc., etc. So B12 is another one, vegans, vegetarians, and the elderly population. So absorption slows down as you grow older. Age is a big factor with vitamins and how they appear in your body. Then you've got creatine is something you'll hear new, but it's naturally occurring, and it is something that has been shown to help a lot of women, especially as we menopause, we deal with brain fog, memory, cognition, energy, so many things, and also muscle building, etc. So creatine is the new kid on the block, but a very well-researched kid on the block. So that's not a top deficiency in India. That's optional.
Good to have.
It's good to have. If you can, affordability is a factor, but if you don't, you're going to be okay.
So far it's basically vitamin D
and
iron.
B12, iron, magnesium.
So how is it that recently magnesium is being talked about?
Because so magnesium is not a vitamin. It's a mineral. But it is involved in more than 300, again, enzymatic behaviors in our body. The reason why, and then there's been people, not everybody needs magnesium, is factors that impact magnesium. Diet. There's not a lot of sources. There's a few sources like dark chocolate, nuts and legumes, whole grains, etc. Most people don't consume this every day. We're not talking about once a week and you're done. Stress hinders absorption. Lack of sleep hinders absorption. Being in perimenopause, menopause, naturally the stress levels and the hormone changes, again, is a factor. Soil quality. Our soil is not as rich in magnesium as it used to be.
Yeah.
So almost every client that comes to me, and there's no actual, oh, look, I have a magnesium deficiency. No, but when I say, tell me your symptoms, because there's different kinds. So you can't just pick up a supplement and consume it. There's a dose and there's a dose and duration for every vitamin and supplement. I say, what are your symptoms? Mal, I'm high strung, I'm anxious, and sleep.
Oh, so magnesium causes all of that?
No. It helps with all of this.
Okay.
So
interesting.
But remember one thing. 90% of your problems are going to be solved if you sleep well.
Yeah.
India is the poor sleep capital of the world.
Yeah. One amongst many other things, I guess.
One amongst many other issues, India is sleep deprived. If you don't sleep well, the next day you are not productive, you are irritable, you overeat, you are not. There's like 100 different things that can go wrong if you don't sleep well one night.
Yeah.
Now there's a chronic issue of sleeping poorly night after night after night, sleep debt. So you are in actual debt of sleep. It's like you owe the body sleep, but you're not giving it sleep. So magnesium, this is where its absorption is hindered because of all these factors of not eating right, stressing, not sleeping well, hormonal issues, etc., etc., etc. So magnesium can really help.
So India's suddenly realized this, or did we always know that magnesium?
I think over time, it's the word has been out more. Like vitamin C is again a very well researched topic. People can have it as a supplemental thing, but we have so many food sources.
Yeah.
Like you walk on the street, the guava guy on the street, I eat a guava every day.
Yeah,
right? And I have noticed, as someone who had deficiencies about a decade and more ago and started taking better care of myself, I realized that food truly is magic, but not everyone is investing in this diversity that they have. They're like creatures of, I will eat a guava every single day. Great, but let's add some other stuff. Keep rotating your food sources.
And the beauty of our country is 6 seasons.
Yes.
Every season presents what is best for you. So you don't need avocado through the year.
Exciting.
Or just buy stuff from another country.
There's other sources, right? And get creative, because yes, some people say it's expensive, but you're going to be fine if you don't eat avocado. By the way, growing up, it was butterfruit.
Correct.
And I didn't know that till I moved to Australia. Had a tree in my garden that had 100,
and they would fall and rot.
They were falling and expensive as hell. I said, this fruit looks so similar to the fruit I grew up in India.
It was the same thing.
Butterfruit. I said, where is, and then suddenly my friends are like, you have fruit on the ground. Please, can we start collecting them? I said, go ahead. Peaches and avocados were two trees that had been planted there. Fascinating.
So vitamin C is another one.
Yes.
Any other?
So the deficiencies in India are going to be iron. Vitamin C, I wouldn't say is a deficiency. These are the way I was trying to link it is these are the science-backed supplements, because you don't want to get crowded and confused with all the other stuff. India, I will tell you again, vitamin D, iron, protein, massive.
But is protein a vitamin?
It's everything. It's not a vitamin. You asked me the top deficiencies.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you, it is protein, vitamin D, iron, B12. These are the top deficiencies. I can't say India is vitamin C deficient because it's a very trace one, right? You really, it's symptomatic, right? If you're someone who's always feeling sick, coughing, the minute someone sneezes, you fall ill, frequent coughs and colds, cuts in your mouth, scurvy, all those kind of side effects, then you're like, oh, I may benefit from a supplement, but it's not something that I'd say, oh my God, people are really deficient. I would say magnesium, I'd add it. But again, if you have a good diet, you could get it from.
So let's pick diet, right? Now, all of these vitamins, specifically vitamins, protein, we'll pick it up later. But vitamins, how do I ensure that I have a balanced meal, or my meal on a daily basis addresses optimal intake of vitamins?
Okay. So you could have a phenomenal diet and still be deficient. The reason would probably be, again, your age, your sex, your lifestyle, your sleep, your stress, your absorption. Remember, then there's the part that you can't control. This, how is your body absorbing these vitamins and minerals, and how it's storing it, how it's secreting it. All these factors are important. And then you bridge the gap. Highly possible to take minimal supplements. Eat the rainbow. Every single color of the rainbow. So we've got foods that are orange, that are green, that are purple, that are red, that are white, brown. There's a reason why there's so many different colors. Is because each one comes with its own set of phytonutrients. There's no one phytonutrient. Multiple. There's all technical names. I can go on. Right? But like berries, rich, one of the highest and rich in antioxidants, right? Then you've got moringa, which is rich in iron. Then you've got your spinach, you've got carrot. I mean, the color itself is exciting.
Tomatoes, cucumbers.
Tomatoes, lycopene, very, very good for you. Cucumbers, hydrating, wonderful. And so diversity in your meals, color. Constantly play around. Don't be cut, copy, paste every day. One. Number two is how, again, these blood tests are what are going to determine if what you're doing is right. And if you're not, that minor supplementation is absolutely fine, as you should. So lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. Protein is going to be the hero of your plate. Dominant, lots of fiber. Minimum 25 grams a day.
And fiber would be vegetables, right?
Vegetables, colors. And India has so many amazing vegetables. Fruits, 2 to 3 a day, right? Small servings. No one really can overdose on fruit. I can maybe because I love fruit. And protein and complex carbs, not simple carbs. Aim for carbs that are closest to his natural state and not highly processed.
And complex carbs would be ragi.
Ragi would be great for you. Even rice, eat your rice. But again, it's not rice. It's rice, right? Eat your kapli atta. We have so many different attas, the way we make our rotis. Then we can eat quinoa. I like quinoa a lot. I personally do, because of its high fiber content. You like brown rice, whatever source of carbs you choose, just make sure it's not highly refined, which would be your white bread, maida, your pav, etc.
Avoid them.
Limit. Because you got to go eat that chana bhatura occasionally.
And again, we're talking about a healthy person, right? An ideally healthy person who wants to have an optimal intake.
That is my treat. So my cheat, it's my 80-20. 80% of the time I eat nutrient dense foods. 20% of the time I have room for everything in moderation. For example, I want a cookie. 2 days ago, I felt like a chewy, gooey cookie. I ordered it from outside. It wasn't healthy. I didn't ask about ingredients. I knew it was going to be indulgent. If it's a small cookie, I took half. I waited. I said, this is making me happy. I ate the other half the next day, moved on. This is a rarity. This is not a frequent occurrence. So that's important. Diversity. For good gut health, minimum of 30 plant-based foods a week. Super easy. Somebody said, 30? I said, in one day you can eat 7 to 8. Guess why? Your nuts and seeds, plant-based. Your rajma, plant-based.
Actually, we do. As Indians, we do it all the time.
Herbs and spices, but don't repeat the same. Keep changing
Shocking
it
your
up.
body.
Keep exciting your body. So your body's like, oh wow, she's given me something different today. So keep making it colorful, tasty, palatable, and exciting. And then you're also excited, looking forward to your meals. I love that. I'm a big fan of fermented foods and probiotic rich foods. They are wonderful for your gut. So minimum 2 to 3 a day.
So some of them would be?
Okay. So there's fermented foods and then there's probiotics, right? So the probiotics will come your kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, moderation because there's a little bit of sugar in it, and natto.
Anything Indian from an Indian palate?
I will get to that. So tempeh is going to be your probiotic / fermented foods. Yes. So we have kanji, which is your beetroot and your, how you make it. People make it with just beetroot, beets. I make it with beets and carrots. And I also eat the vegetables in it. One, because that's been fermented. So you've got that. Idlis, fermented food.
Yeah.
Dosa, fermented
Yeah,
food.
absolutely.
Preparation style matters. If you over ghee it, over oil it, etc., it's not really doing much for you.
Yeah.
So fermented foods in its rawest form, its most natural form, is the ones I mentioned, which is your kimchi. These are not hard.
Yeah.
Because it's Western doesn't mean,
of course,
we cannot incorporate it into our life, because food culture has always broken barriers and borders for generations, and a lot of things are not native to India, but it's been adopted. So now the availability of all this is, again, I'm not talking about anything that's not easily available. Everything is nowadays available. The only request is read labels, because you want the live cultures and everything to be present, or make it at home.
And we'll talk a little more about that as well.
So I make kimchi at home, I make kombucha at home, I make sauerkraut at home, I make kefir at home. There are plenty of stores that sell it, and I have a company that makes tempeh. So except natto, everything's covered.
No, and it's good to know that we can actually do this at home,
easy,
right?
Easy. And it's not even hard to call someone and say, hey, do you have the culture for kefir? Do you have the culture for kombucha? People are like, oh yeah, grab it. Easy. Because the fermentation and the benefits of it is really, really so good that people are jumping onto it. It's probably one of the best things I did for my gut is the fermented foods. Lots of herbs and spices. So my advice to you would be minimum 30 plant-based foods a week. 2 to 3, even 1 is fine. We forgot the best, dahi. Homemade dahi, beautiful.
Of course.
Probiotic. 2 to 3 a day for good gut health. Minimum 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. A few fruits in rotation a day. And this is going to
magic. And also homemade, home cooked. All of this is just divine stuff, right? And actually, if you try it, you realize the energy levels change in your body. Do it for 6 months, because it's so fundamental, but we're talking about it because culture has changed. There's a lot of Swiggy, Insta culture, which has modified our health a lot, right? So now that we know that all of these things are the ways and approaches that we can individually use to create a healthier, more balanced food, addressing your vitamin intake as well. Let's talk a little bit about absorption. Conceptually, how does the body actually allow or inhibit absorption of vitamins specifically?
Again, this is going to go back to each individual, right? As to how old you are, what your lifestyle is. Typically, vitamins and minerals are broken down into 2 categories, right? There's water-soluble and fat-soluble. Fat-solubles, I'd like you to remember it as your ADEK. A-D-E-K. These are your 4 fat-soluble vitamins. You've got your water-soluble vitamins, which is your vitamin C, and the ones in the B family, B12 and B1, B2, B3, etc. So fat and water, the main ones. So typically how vitamins are absorbed, stored, transported, and excreted in your body. This is the general classification, and that's how they categorize it as water-soluble and fat-soluble. Fat-soluble vitamins are not excreted largely by your body. They're stored in your fatty tissues and in your liver, which is why you don't need to consume it that regularly, and over-consuming can cause toxicity. Right? Then you've got your water-soluble. Have it with water. It doesn't need a fat source.
So essentially, you take a vitamin with a fat as a base.
So ADEK, A-D-E-K, all your vitamins are typically to be had with a good meal. Think of it as having with a meal, or you don't have to have it with a meal. You can have it with some nuts and seeds.
So this reminds me of when you look back at your grandmother or your mother, they would make these laddus.
The gond or so many different
types, right? Your sesame is added, and then you realize why they did it with a fat.
Balanced.
And that's because you can easily digest it.
Exactly. So that's the whole idea, because this will allow you to absorb it better, transport it better, store it better, and excrete it better. These are your fat solubles. And then vitamin C does not need, you can just have it with water. B12 again with water. B12 is an energizer. So never have it later part of the day. Have it in the earlier part of the day.
I didn't know that.
It's an energizer.
So,
B12.
Okay, so this is a good point that you raised. Uh, is there a specific time when you should be taking your vitamin supplement? So can you tell us about
Of course.
Yeah.
So vitamin D, preferably earlier part of the day.
Okay.
It's a sunshine vitamin, right? Think of daytime vitamin D.
Yeah.
Again, some people don't poorly react to having it towards the end of the day, but it can energize them at a time that you should actually be getting ready to zone down and go to sleep.
Okay.
Omega-3 to be had. We missed this earlier. Omega-3 is something that many people are deficient in, though you won't see a direct what's my number, and I'll tell you why that is. So please come back to me about omega-3. Okay. So then you've got this, you have it with water. Then B12 is an energizer. Have it in the first part of the day. You'll feel energetic. You'll get through the day. Awesome. Vitamin D, earlier part of the day. Omega-3 can be had with breakfast or lunch or dinner, but with again a meal, because people tend to get fishy burps because of the thing. Top tip, put your omega-3 supplements in the fridge or freezer.
Okay, why is that?
It becomes harder, so the liquid
effect is better.
This is for people who struggle with fishy burps. So a lot of people abandon omega-3 because of the fishy burps, which is fishy. Put it in the fridge, it becomes harder. So when you swallow it, you may not have those. Quite a few people have given me feedback that has really helped.
Cool.
So it's like a little hack. I tell people, well, I don't want to have omega-3. I'm like, try this. Tell me how it was. And then you've got your magnesium. Now, magnesium, there's many different kinds. Some are very poorly absorbed. Some are very well absorbed. My favorite is threonate and glycinate. Glycinate is well tolerated by most people. Fantastic for muscle relaxation, recovery, sleep, stress, anxiety, 1 hour before bed.
1 hour before bed?
Yes.
Magnesium.
Because it's telling you, okay, let's put everything away and let's focus on getting you ready to relax and sleep, especially if people are very active thinkers and they're like, I don't know what to do now. I'm thinking too much, all the things I have to do. There's always going to be something we have to do. That's going to be your night supplement 1 hour before bed. The sleep one.
Got it.
Because there's different kinds. There's also ones for cognition. There's ones for chronic constipation. There's a different magnesium for that. That's citrate. But then when you take that, you can't take it you take it at night, and then of course the next day you're better. So
interesting.
So typically magnesium, I prefer it 1 hour. 1 hour before bed.
What about iron?
Iron is interesting. So I had to take an iron supplement when I was pregnant with my kids, and it would make me so queasy, and I could only stomach it if I had it, drank water, and went to sleep. That's the only way I could handle it. So iron is one of those things that I think people should have it when it works the best for them, when they're not nauseous or queasy, which tends to be constipated. So please take extra fiber when you're on an iron supplement, because constipation is real. So again, preferably the earlier part of the day with something, with a meal or without. I think iron is one of those things that is so bio-individual to how a person can stomach it. But if you're deficient, just try to get it into your system. That's iron.
Okay, that's really helpful, because I was going to ask another question on the errors we make in terms of vitamin intake. So this is already really, really helpful.
And there's one major error. I am not a fan of multivitamins. A lot of gastroenterologists will support my claim. A lot of experts will support my claim. I think that a regular multivitamin is just too broad. I think you are taking it just to make yourself happy. The dosage may be off. How do you
standardize it?
How do you standardize it? Which is why if someone recommends a multivitamin, I say you have to go with the best one out there that's very well tested, and it's not going to be cheap. And the average human being is not looking for the most expensive multivitamin. I haven't taken a multivitamin in about 12, 13 years.
I've never taken
at all. I think it's hype. I believe that you should take vitamins based on your deficiencies and the dosage and the quality. When you do that, you will notice how quickly your numbers will rise. Now, when it comes to B12, if you're very deficient, tablets are not going to cut it for you. You have to get the injections because it's going to bypass everything else and go straight to where it goes, because typically B12 is fatigue, breathlessness, tiredness, tingling in the leg. That's a symptom of a B12 deficiency, and just feeling very jittery. Then you want it to work faster and you want that energy to happen faster. Then you will get the injections, right?
Typically, Malavika, you see that when you're tired, fatigued, right? It has something to do with all of these things, right? There is a deficiency in my iron or vitamin. It's telling you, the body is telling you to slow down, right?
Some manifest sooner, like for example, an iron deficiency, B12 deficiency manifests sooner. It's like, I've been really tired, dark circles. Typically, when you see someone with a lot of dark circles, typically, not always, it could also be hereditary or the person hasn't slept well. Iron, B12 is like, it looks like you may have one of these two. Vitamin D also, very important. Or you are just not eating right. You're not eating a balanced meal. You're eating only carbs and sugar. There's not enough protein in your diet. Of course, you're going to be tired because you're always sugar, spikes, and eating too much carbs is not good for you. And you spike up, and then you go down, and then you're like, okay, I'm hungry again. That's the issue. So vitamins, multivitamins have fat soluble and water soluble.
Oh, so how do you, essentially, I think a lot of people have now realized multivitamins don't really work. And it's better to sort of break it into separate parts and address it, customize it, personalize it.
Absolutely. Probiotics also, another big trend in the market. We have trillions and trillions of bacteria in our belly. Please tell me, in our gut, how can one generic off-the-counter probiotic, which is supposed to be live cultures, fix your issues?
First of all, when it's on a shelf, I don't trust it.
No. Probiotics are needed by people who have issues, but this is going to be a customizable probiotic suited to suit you. Now, I have never taken a probiotic. I've actually done research and asked people who've taken probiotics. Maybe one person said it helped. The majority said it did nothing for me, but I was down a lot of money after trying it. So probiotics, I urge people to always take with caution and buy quality supplements. Do not go for cheap and cheerful. Do not buy supplements because Instagram is sponsoring it and constantly pushing it on you.
And you already know that you need to be skeptical.
Please.
So how do we read? I wanted to ask this later, but since we're here, how do we read and understand labels correctly? So sometimes we are pressed beyond eating natural stuff. It doesn't work for us. Of course, work with your diet.
Of course.
If not, you need a supplement.
Absolutely.
Right? So how do we know what is credible?
Okay, so credible is going to again be based on finding credible sources that can guide you, right? It's going to be, is this third party tested? Is the seal intact? Where are you purchasing it from? What is the cost? Supplements, if they're too cheap, they're probably not the best. Ingredients, have they used fillers? Have they used emulsifiers? Have they used colorings? Have they used other agents? Are there 15 different ingredients in it? Typically, supplements, again, it's all chemical names, right? So you may not know. So finding a few good brands that are third-party tested, and for example, random example, omega-3, many omega-3 supplements, but dosage is important. EPA and DHA together has to be over 500. And typically over 1000 is recommended because people take too less and feel nothing's happening, right? Dosage is important. Then the fish is typically to be wild caught fish.
Got it.
Right? If it's wild caught, some labels, omega-3 will say wild caught fish, EPA, DHA, and then they will put an antioxidant in it to prevent it from spoilage. That's all you need. Coloring, this, that, not needed.
Really helpful.
So this is just one example of omega-3. Then again, if there's certain like some vitamin C supplements, like they'll have this coloring, this permitted, that permitted. You don't really need that much, which is why certain brands, third party, there's so many parameters and dosage, right? Like magnesium. People will take magnesium and message me saying, Mal, I took this does not work. I said, show me the back. There's something called as elemental magnesium. So the magnesium number will be huge, but elemental magnesium is the actual concentration of how much there is of that particular molecule of magnesium, because I told you there's 7-8 different kinds or more.
Yeah.
They're like,
That's why I haven't got enough of the dosage.
So you're taking 100, you're supposed to take 320 or 220 based on your symptoms. I always tell people start low, but 100 is too low.
Yeah.
Right? Because women, they say 320 mg minimum for magnesium, and men, they say 420. But this number can be played around with based on your diet. If your diet is very low and you're experiencing certain strong symptoms, you can up the dose. But that's it. Again, I say, speak with a wellness provider, speak with somebody who's very nutritionally informed, or a good doctor who knows. I hate to say this, controversial, but not all doctors are nutritionally well informed.
Of course.
That is like, I can't conduct a surgery. I don't claim to say, oh, I can do that. But what I do know is, I do know a lot about nutrition and vitamins, minerals.
And take the help if you can.
That's my area of expertise. That's their area of expertise. So
that's beautiful. That is super helpful. Even I don't know. I just trust the pharmacist, thinking he knows what's best. But I think I will certainly take care of it better now. So thank you for sharing that. I've been hit by so much information and knowledge, but it's been so nice to listen to you, because you've broken it down in a very easy way to really understand. As we sort of come closer to the last part of it, I have one more question for you, which I think is really essential, right? A couple of years back, I had taken a blood test, and when I was discussing it with the doctor on the other side, she said, "Hey, stop your vitamin D3 supplement.
Sure.
I think it's reaching a toxic level in your body." So I said, okay, that was the first time I heard anyone say something like that, because I always felt that, oh my God, I needed vitamin D3. So I'm sure it may be many people who are going through the same thing. So is there something called toxicity of vitamins also that happens in our body?
Yes. I want to also interject that earlier I'd mentioned some of the top deficiencies in India. We forgot to mention calcium.
Oh, calcium also.
Calcium, very well researched, a massive deficiency in India. Recent studies have shown that women as early as in their 20s and 30s are complaining of brittle bones and weak bones in India. It's now another problem India has to deal with. And this will tie into my nutrition question. You have to ask me again why that is, because it's all connected.
So why is the calcium?
So I want to recap. So going back, it's folic acid, vitamin D, B12, omega-3, calcium, magnesium. So we've got all the top ones. Creatine these are all backed by research, but creatine, not everyone has to jump and grab it. Deficiency, because it's not always just about taking calcium supplements, right? How do you strengthen and preserve your bones? Is habits from your youth. Protein. Indians don't do weight-bearing exercises. We don't do a lot of pull and push. We don't have that culture of building muscles. And in that process, because we are chronically vitamin D deficient growing up, that effect will take place in your late years. If you're constantly low, how do you expect to be great in So vitamin D being always low, not doing weight-bearing exercises, not having enough calcium-rich foods, not managing your deficiencies by taking supplements, not strength training, not getting the sun, not eating enough fiber, is all going to contribute towards weak bone, joints, muscles, towards the later phase of your life. So that is the deficiency I wanted to mention, is calcium. And remember, India as a country, we do have malnourishment or undernourished kids.
Someone was saying it's malnourishment. They're all eating in malls.
There's a sector of us that should not be picking up that burger, and there's a section of us that children, especially the stunted growth, happens when in the earlier part of recently. What really triggered me was one of the school government schemes decided to take away eggs from the midday meals. And it was replaced with chicky and banana, and then chicky was removed and it was replaced with peanuts and banana. Wonderful. Peanuts are great as a source of fat with some protein. It is not a replacement for eggs. Please. If you're these kids in these schools, midday meals, a lot of parents send these children just for that one meal because they may not be able to afford a balanced meal. So taking away eggs, I think, is the worst kind of disservice done to our children of lower income group. And it's very sad because there is a protein deficiency. Yeah.
Okay.
So going back to...
So let's come back to the toxicity part.
Correct.
And
that's vitamin D.
That's also another highlight, right? In the
it is a problem.
It is a problem. Yeah. So why does the body actually feel that way?
Now, so like I said, we're going to go back to vitamin C, water-soluble and fat-soluble.
Okay.
Rare to have accumulation of excessive vitamin C and B12 because it's secreted in the urine, which is why you need to have it on an ongoing basis to keep it topped up.
Sure.
But your ADEK, ADEK, are fat-soluble, stored in your fat tissues and your liver. Hence, you don't need to have it all the time, which is why your doctor will, when he gives you that vitamin D prescription of 50 to 60,000 IU, he's going to say once a week, and there's a plan for it. So depending on how deficient you are, typically they will say, take this for the next 8 weeks, 1 a week, same day, and then bring it down to once a month and then test to see how well your body has absorbed and retained and or secreted this, which is why your addicts are not taken on an ongoing basis. They are to be taken iron. Your doctor doesn't say you need to be on iron for the rest of your life. You can have too much iron. You also take it, test, we'll check. Again, ADEK. So anything in this family has to be monitored.
Like rotated. You do it for like a month, 2 months and stop it.
Based on your absorption and your count. Because you could be 10 in your vitamin D count when 30 plus is considered sufficient. Or you could be 7 or you could be 20 and you might just need a few months. This goes back to my original thing. Test every 6 months.
Don't self-administer.
Right? I know people who are like, oh, I'm feeling a bit tired. Must be low iron. Let me pop this. No, that's not how it works. Vitamin toxicity is dangerous. Please understand. It can sometimes, you don't go from being, oh, I'm fine, and slowly things are happening. Can hair loss, fatigue, jitteriness, very severe cases, heart attack or some issues, fainting, crazy disease spells. Series of things can go wrong if it's you overdose. So that's why you have to be very careful with the dosage. Always talk to a qualified professional who is nutritionally well informed.
So on that note, I think it's been amazing listening. I'm just hit by so much of information and such a small thing, right? But such an important thing.
Very important.
Because it does cause a lot of disbalance in our life should it go wrong, right? So thank you for sharing all that knowledge.
Most welcome.
I can imagine it must be just the most basic things we've talked about, and it's a deeper science.
Much more.
And really the final note was get your own test, get your own personalized understanding of your body. Don't go by trends.
And also research, right?
Research,
be a curious person. Today, people are so lucky to have access to social media, internet, ChatGPT, other nutritionists, free, giving out information for free on social media. If you follow a few, ask them questions saying, hey, but also the sad part is there's a lot of conflicting information. So make sure your source is someone who's not trying to sell you something and whose agenda is just to help you understand things.
Great. It was lovely having you over.
Pleasure.
And we'll talk on the other side for the other topic that we have planned as well. It was a pleasure, Malavika.
Pleasure, Mohana. I loved it.
Loved it too.
See you soon.
See you soon.